This is the Alumni Connections Project. We all know Randolph is better than the rest. Even when you progress, you still gotta rep. 8th Villa, Randolph Campus High School. But this is not a test, you should say it with your chest. Be proud of your origin, and if you are proud, support it then. Stronger together through unity, better together. Let's build the community. Randolph isn't a school or a building, it's a legacy. It's not in your past, it's your identity. So show some pride. Alumni Connections is sponsored and brought to you by SBI, CCPI, SoundDownTownBusiness.org, SoundDownTownBusiness.org. The journey doesn't end with graduation and prom. The journey doesn't end with graduation and prom. The journey doesn't end with the journey doesn't end. This is the Alumni Connections Project. This is the Alumni Connections Project. 8th Philip Randolph. Randolph.
Randolph. There we go.
Randolph.
I like this.
So you're the first person to hear it, and for whoever's watching, they're going to be the second. So listen, thank you so much for being on this. I have Jeremy Jaico, otherwise known as Heiko. I hope I'm saying that right. Am I saying that right?
That's right. Yeah.
All
Heiko.
right, beautiful. Jeremy Jaico, Heiko Music. We're going to get into it. He's an artist. I really enjoyed getting to know you with my time at Randolph. Thank you so much for being on the show. I'm going to really get into this. I know we got websites and lots of stuff to show to talk about who you are, but I'm going to give you that chance right now. So tell me about what you're doing right now. Again, thank you for being on here. But tell us what you're doing right now. Tell us about the music, but also tell us about the job and all the things you got going on.
For sure. Yeah, no, and Cameron, thanks again for having me, for real, seriously. Yeah, so I guess we can start with what I'm doing. My job now, I'm a CX manager at this tech startup called Phi. They have GPS enabled dog collars, so you can virtually like track your dog wherever in the US, really. So it's been really cool to see the company grow. I've been with them for a year. They've only been around for maybe a little under 2 years officially. So I've truly seen it like from the ground up, from getting the Series A funding to, now pitching for Series B. So it's been crazy. A lot of updates all the time, but I love being in that kind of environment that just constantly grows and you don't know what to expect whenever you go in. So it's been cool. On the music side of things, yep, that's the website right there. It's really sick.
So this is cool. So we'll get into this. I definitely want to go through the Randolph story, but I mean, all the things that you're talking about, like with the funding, I really definitely want to get into all that. It's really interesting to me. I do a biz dev program, so maybe we won't get too hard into it. Maybe we'll see it, and I'll invite you onto the biz dev program too and get a little crossover action.
Sure.
But tell us about the music. I think a lot of your fans obviously will be checking in to sort of get this side of you, and you can use this in to build that backstory.
For real. No, yeah. On the music side, I've been in the industry for about 10 years now. I started, so there's 3 different genres. I started in the hardcore scene. I was like in a screamo band, really like doing that, going for it. And it was really cool. We were like 15, 16 years old, maybe. Did a, East Coast tour from Maine to Florida. Took my dad's van, like, it was crazy, really DIY. Like sometimes we got paid $100 in gas. Sometimes we got to crash at someone else's place. Sometimes we got paid for pizza. Like it was nuts. From there, I kind of went on to becoming a DJ and a producer, and it was nuts. Like it took off, from, this is when I got to college. So I would throw parties in dorms, and then it would go to like the senior housing. And then it went to like the college-wide events. Then it went to fraternities off campus, and then it just grew. And by the end of my freshman year, it was just like crazy. It was just going from different colleges. I started opening for bigger acts like the Chainsmokers and B.O.B. And Whethan, and just so many up and coming people in the industry. And it really shined a lot of light on what's it like to, live that life that most people want to achieve, like tour all over. I got to play in Chicago, LA, Washington, like literally you name it, before I was 20. I was doing this 18, 19 years old. And so I did that for a while. I came back to New York after I graduated. And I kind of didn't know if I wanted to, still pursue DJing and producing. I still DJ, but not produce as much. And so then I started doing like the singing and songwriting route and rapping, and like it kind of took over the same exact way that, you know, the band did and DJing did. We started out, you know, throwing shows in a community center in the Bronx called Hunts Point. And, you know, maybe like 60 people came. We did another one, maybe 80 people came. Another one, we got to 100. And then I started contacting, you know, I would make these events on like Eventbrite, save the data, you know, save the collection, like with the amount of money, the tickets sold at what rate, because these are the things you need as an artist to show to different venues. You know, if you want to play a Mercury Lounge, which I ended up doing, or Chelsea Music Hall on 15th Street, which I ended up doing as well. You know, these talent promoters are looking for hard ticket sales. They're looking for great music, but at the same time, they have a business. They want people coming in at the bars. At the end of the day, they want to make money. So if you can prove that you've done that by yourself, these venues will be more inclined to help you out. So now, you know.
All right, you're giving away too much. You're giving away too much. All right, so we're gonna work our way back up to this, because I want to.
For sure.
I want to, you know, I think you've reached a certain level of success. I'm certain that there's high school students and college students and graduates that would love to be doing some of the things that you're doing. I know there's some people, you know, including myself, that are like, man, you know, we got to collaborate. We got to be doing things together to take advantage of where people are. I know I interviewed Pope on here a while back, and I don't know if you know Pope, who's an alumni graduate. Do you know Pope?
I don't think so, no.
No, I got to connect you, because he is managing the venue at Hudson Yards. And
Oh,
it's
wow.
yeah. And that's a huge venue. And he, you know, he's back at the house, but obviously he knows everybody. But he, you know, does all the coordination. You know, when they book something in, he is the guy that makes it all beautiful and magic, and gets everybody, you know, on the same page team wise. He's a photographer. He does a lot of stuff, but he's an alumni graduate from the 90s. So class of 94, I believe. So, you know, somebody that you should definitely be connected with. So I want to bring this home for everybody that is a Philip graduate alum. Talk to us about your A. Philip Randolph experience. So back when you were in junior high. Now I know your brother attended Randolph before you, so I know you were already, Randolph was already in the picture. But where did you go to junior high? Where were you living?
Yeah, for sure. We've always been in the Bronx. Up until recently, I got my own apartment in Brooklyn now, but always been in the Bronx, right by Yankee Stadium. My brother Neil, he was class of 2011. I was 2013. So, you know, in middle school, I went to Exemius prep, which I don't think it exists anymore, but I would always see him talking about Randolph. You know, he was on the swimming team. You know, he joined U.B, the step team. He was working with you and Thompson and TCPI, and like, it was always encouraging to see, but I kind of like pushed it off. I was just like, nah, I don't want to do that. You know, not yet. And so when it came time to go to high school, you know, obviously Randolph was on the list, and I got in, and I think I went to the orientation. I just really liked it. So, my time at Randolph was wild. I was on the wrestling team all 4 years. You know, I was with CCPI. Senior year, I became class president, which was crazy because when I don't know if you remember, but like when I started, it was, I was not the ideal kid, you know, like I hated it. You know, I would like try and get out of class as much as possible, but I realized later towards the end, you know, how important it was to be in school and how important it was to, you know, look for future opportunities, whether that was college or, you know, whatever the case was. And I felt like CCPI really brought that into me. Just
Well,
that
I'll tell you what I remember, and I want to hear more about, like, you know, your freshman year, sophomore year, what you dug about Randolph once you got in there. What do you remember from those years? Because I definitely identify with your story. And let me just shout out Emmanuel Castillo. Yeah, Jeremy.
Oh yeah,
checking in.
Bro, it's good. It's crazy. I haven't talked to him in a couple of years.
So yeah, I mean, this is what this is all about, connecting with people. That's why I'm doing this. So what I remember about you is obviously I knew Neil, and Neil's a good guy. He was a good kid back then. I remember that you were his brother, and then I also remember that you did get very active in like the performances and everything. So I don't even remember any of the academic stuff, the things that you're sweating. I have no memory of that. It's all been broadcast. No worries.
Yeah, no, I was such a rough kid, but I remember having that one, it only takes one conversation from Thompson
Yeah.
to just change everything. Like I remember he just spoke to me one day and I was like, oh, what am I doing? Like and then just change the act up and everything after sophomore year.
When did that happen?
And
Was that
it's
sophomore year?
Yeah, yeah. It was at the end of sophomore year where, everybody was kind of entering the conversation of like, so, what's after high school? What do you want to do? What are you interested in? And honestly, I never really thought about that. I didn't really care. And I thought, if I was going to go to college, it would have been like a CUNY or something. Not that CUNY is bad. CUNY is obviously really good, but I wasn't thinking too much about that. You know what I mean? But going on those trips and doing just really being around the CCPI office, it changed everything.
That's so awesome. And so you weren't really focused on the school stuff freshman year, sophomore year. What do you remember liking about Randolph, if anything?
Um, I would say, well, first my friends, like the friend group, still till this day. I don't know if you remember the first round of like interns that CCPI had, 2013. We're still all close. We're still all tight. We still
Who was
chill.
in that cohort? Who was with you?
So it was me, Aris Munoz, Evan Johnson, Janai, Brunilda, Destiny, Cynthia, and Natalie.
Okay, yeah, I remember. I know Aris is part of like your crew, I think, right?
Yeah,
That's like that's main one road dog. He's in all the videos with you, always messing with them. Comedy relief.
No, for sure. Yeah, he's always been there since day one. Literally since my band days to the DJing days till now. Like he's always been there. So yeah, he's like a brother to me.
That's
Same
crazy.
with Evan too. Evan now is actually working at Peloton.
Evan Johnson.
Yep. Yeah.
Where is he working? Peloton?
Yeah.
What is he doing at Peloton?
I believe he's a tech recruiter now. But when I was there and I was kind of eventually like leaving towards Bitly, I knew that he was like searching for jobs and we just like plugged him in. I ended up leaving. He joined and then he kind of took off. He's doing great.
Yeah, we got to get him on the show. I really want to connect with him. Whole cohort. Of all those names mentioned, have any of them been on already? I think who else did you mention? Emily?
I don't think. No. Emily was around for sure. I don't think she was. Did she do this?
I don't think so. Not yet. I think I've reached out to a couple of them, but some people are shy about doing the video thing too.
Yeah.
So tell me, so you had your friends, sophomore year, you talked to Thompson. So what's happening junior year and senior year?
Junior year, I remember I had this epiphany that I wanted to be a gastroenterologist.
Wow. That's a serious epiphany.
Yeah, it was. I was like, oh man, I'm in the engineering side. I got to go to the medical. I got to be, I got to do this amount of, years. But I realized I was looking at, credibility and what the money would be like and things like that. Something that, a 16-year-old, a 15-year-old would be worried about the most, money, right? And the more I thought about it, I was just like, what am I even talking about? But I don't think I even knew what gastroenterology was. It was just a cool title, and I was like, oh, wow, they make a lot of money. Let me go and try and do that. Quickly realized that wasn't what I wanted to do. I think I realized quick, too, what I'd like to do is help people. And I think part of why a majority of my life has been in entertainment is because I love, helping people or seeing people happy and figuring out what they like to do, too.
Yeah, I love that. And you sort of have a little bit of a reverse story because some people start out, wanting to be musicians and DJs and
Right.
rappers and sports stars. And then they say, you know what? I'm going to be a dentist because that's realistic. You sort of went the other way. I was like, I think I'll be a gastroenterologist. I'll make that, realistic dream happen. Like, no. Let me go be a musician. Yeah. That's the realistic thing for me. And I think it's made it work. So you went to Elmira. How did Elmira get on the map? Where else did you apply? When I have these conversations, I'm really trying to help, the folks that have walked before you or that will walk after you by using, whatever mistakes and successes that you've had. So what did you do in your process that you thought really worked out well? Was there something that you would have done differently now looking back on it?
Yes. Oh man, Karen, like I, I loved my experience at Elmira. I've met lifelong friends there. I've experienced so many things there that, it's priceless. You really can't put a tag on it. But I truly think, especially with, everything that's going on now with the virus, and just constant changes in our world, I feel like, getting an education for free or as close as possible to free is the best option. Like I look at it now, and every single job that I've landed was because of my network and my skills. And I've truly never really used my degree to land a job or land a position that I wanted or anything like that. It was all through networking. It was all through skills. It was all through people that I knew and being in the right place, right time.
Right. So what do you, before I get into the Elmira experience, because I want to get deeper into that and deeper into what you're talking about, because I think it's a very big debate right now in terms of,
For sure.
should I go to college? Should I not? Is there, bankable skills? Is the debt worth it?
Right.
Before we get into that, because I think that's really important, how did you end up applying? What schools did you get into? What was that
Yeah.
process like?
Yeah. So I applied to, first off, my dream school was Skidmore.
Okay.
That's my dream
I
school.
think I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember going on one of the trips, and as soon as we touched down, like I fell in love, loved it. But yeah,
And it's a
Skidmore was
very
the dream.
artsy school. There's a lot of like,
Yeah,
I mean, they do design stuff there. They have a facility to create clothing, I think.
yeah.
What appealed to you when you were there?
Exactly what you're speaking about. I think the first stop that we had on that campus was the art center, and the entertainment, and just looking at all of the artistic side of things that they offered. And then I think it was like at the time, it was like the 19th best business school in the nation, and that's
Okay.
what I ended up getting my degree in. But all around, it was just so cool. I loved, going through the dorms and seeing what that was like, and just it looked really cool. And that's exactly what I was looking for when I was applying to colleges. I didn't want to be, that stereotypical thing where it's just a number, going to like somewhere like NYU or something where there's tens of thousands of kids. I really wanted to make an impact wherever I went. And so Elmira, I think when I went, it was only like 1,200 kids total in
Yep.
the school. So it was really small. Everybody knew everyone. It was cool.
And how did you make that final decision? What did the package look like when you finally got acceptance letters? Where did you get accepted to? And, how did the financial aid thing work out? Obviously, I'm imagining there's a little bit of a beef on the money that you got to pay back now.
Yeah. I'm very thankful that I only took out federal loans, no private. I believe I forgot the name of the scholarship, but it covered a good majority of the tuition. I think when I was going there, it was like 50,000 or anywhere from 45 to 50,000 a year, which is insane. Like I'm not rich.
Right.
So that scholarship definitely helped out. But even then, I needed to take out federal loans. I had to co-sign with parents and stuff. So it ended up working out. And even now, I'm on that plan that I think it's like the pay as you earn. It's like an income driven plan. So depending on what you're making every year, you'll have to re-enter it every single year. But depending on what you make, you'll pay X amount of dollars worth towards the loan. And after 20 years of those, every single payment, they forgive everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which is, I think, something that like we should be talking about even in high schools. And, because I didn't know that when I was at Randolph, but I learned about it. And yeah, when I guess when I'm 42, they're just completely gone.
That's crazy. Yeah, no, I don't even know about that. I think it's so hard because there are so many different
So
programs
many.
out there. You know, even when we talk about scholarships, it's tough for us to talk about scholarships because you can get a lot more beneficial of a deal typically if you're able, you know, especially Elmira's a private college, right? So
Yep.
there are grant and aid available depending on your financial status. So, you know, do we spend time talking on scholarships where you got to like, a lot of scholarships can be a lot of work. I don't know what you had to do for your scholarship, but you know, if somebody's picking up $500 here, $2,000 there, and then you're dealing with a $50,000 bill per year, you're sitting there like, what did I do all this work for? And this kid right next to me, they got in and they got somewhat of a full ride. I know for my kids, as knowledgeable as I am in terms of different things that, you know, basically from being with the program and osmosis and doing a little bit of research on my end, my focus is just making sure that my kids grade wise, and right now, right, my daughter and my son are both high honors in middle school, and now they're my daughter's moving into high school next year, 9th grade, and I'm just praying, I'm kicking butt with my kids, making sure they're doing good on the grades, but praying that, you know, once they get to that position, using the strategies that, you know, we've gone over and over again with high school students, that they'll have a lot of different options on the table and be able to negotiate. Going back to sort of the job description as we're working towards, you know, your career, it's the network and the skills that you bring to the table, and
100%.
that's how you get there. I think college has a role to play in that, but I'm interested in what your college experience is. So senior year, you're getting ready to ship off. You've made that choice. Elmira is the destination. So what did that senior summer look like as you were getting ready to go to college? Did you start? Was there a program for you to jump into in the summer? What did that summer look like?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think when I first, you know, realized that I was actually leaving home and going to school, first thing I thought about as a kid, you know, was, oh man, am I going to be able to get a job up there? I should probably get a summer job. I should probably rack up like some money. So I just helped my parents out with their businesses. They own a chain of salons. So I was like receptionist slash, you know, sweeping the floors slash answering the phones, like doing everything I could, right? And then I actually ended up doing a road trip too with my dad from New York to California. So that was a lot of fun. Just kind of, you know, spending a lot of time with family before I like really took off. But yeah, they offered a almost like an orientation in July, and then the real one in August when we stayed. So July was like one weekend to get to know your, you know, your classmates, you get to know your roommate, all of that. I think even pick classes too. And then in August was like the real orientation, where you actually stay there. And even that weekend too, it was just it was really cool. You know, you get to stay in your room where you're going to be at in the fall. You get to meet everybody that you ended up hanging out with 4 years later. So it was cool.
So tell me about you. You get into that program and you're getting your first experiences. I imagine, did you go up to Elmira before this program?
Yeah, so I went for so they some okay, so on campus they're called gold keys, which are like tour guides.
Yeah.
And so you have the option to host or not host. And if you host, then you'll host, you know, an incoming high school junior or high school senior, just so they see what the campus life is like.
Yeah.
So I stayed with someone who was on the hockey team, I believe. They showed me around. I was in the coolest, you know, dorm on campus. It was sick. Elmira has this obsession for purple and gold. Those are like our school colors.
Yeah.
But everything is purple and gold. I'm talking like the toilets were purple and gold. Like it was crazy. But just yeah, having that experience and remember just being like an inner city kid, we only saw these things on TV. You know, I was never on a campus like that. Our campuses were like, you know, what the Randolph campus is like, where City College is right next door. So it was the first real experience I had, you know, being in dorms or looking at off-campus housing. And I think what was the most attractive was the amount of independence that came with that. You know, like no longer are you looking for your parents to, you know, tell you when a curfew is or, you know, cook for you or anything like that. Like you are off to fend for yourself now and you got to grow up quick. So yeah, I think the independence was a really big factor.
So you saw that before you ever decided to go, or you had already decided at that point?
No, yeah, I visited. I got accepted, and I got accepted to a couple of different schools, but Elmira was the only one that I actually like went and stayed as like an overnight host. And yeah, after that, on the bus ride back, I was just like, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
this is
coming
the place. All right. So
here.
so then you're up there August. Now you're getting into, what was your experience like that first semester of college?
I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated it.
It went from, man, I
Oh
love
my
these
God.
purple and gold toilets to I don't like it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, because it was just like you got a little experience, you got a little like taste. And so then like the homesick, I wouldn't say the first month. So like let's talk about the first semester, right? I was only doing classes and that's it. I would go back to my room. I wasn't involved. I wasn't doing anything. I was just homesick because I was just like, you know, this is a very small private liberal arts school. There aren't many people of color there. There's not a lot of people I can relate to. But I was really closed minded because I would look at a friend and be like, like you literally grew up on a farm. I can't relate to you. Like we can't talk about the same things, which was ignorant. But I didn't know that at the time. And I remember getting on the phone maybe like mid-September or mid-October, and I called Thompson and I'm like, Thompson, I hate it here. I'm just gonna go back home. I'll transfer schools. I'll go to a CUNY. I don't care what it takes. Like I gotta get out of here. And he literally was like, boy, shut up. Just straight up. He was just like, I bet you don't have a job on campus. I bet you're not involved. I bet you didn't even try. I bet you're just going to class. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
just silent. And
But
and
because of all the places that you've been in, and I want to
yeah,
get deeper into the Elmira experience, part of me wants to say that some of the places that you've gone to work, even though maybe the degree didn't play into it the way that you think of that cultural thing, and being able to work in that environment and relate to people might have come from the college experience.
100%. Yeah, yeah. I think after that phone call, I really kind of opened up. I got by the beginning of the second semester, had three different jobs on campus. I applied to be an RA for the following year. I applied to be a gold key for the following year, which is the tour guide. I got
After
into
hating the college, you were signing up
yeah,
to be that happy-go-lucky guy that shows
yeah,
everybody the benefits of going to college at Elmira. All right,
hundred
I
percent.
see you.
Yeah, I think I just needed the wake up call from Thompson because he was just like, "This is why you're hating it. Like you are choosing to hate it. You're not
Yeah,
choosing to open up. You're not choosing to talk to people that don't look like you. And I knew it. I was just in denial. I was like, come on, don't tell me that. But I knew it. And so after that, it was like a wake up call. Everything switched literally overnight. And by second semester, or I think by term 3, because it was a trimester school, I was a gold key. I became an RA for the summer housing. I ended up even staying. I wanted to leave so bad. I stayed freshman summer and sophomore summer at
wow.
Elmira. Yeah.
So that was your work study, the RA thing, and the RA thing is not easy. So how did that work out for you?
So luckily, I wasn't chosen to be an RA all year round. It was just like the summer.
Okay.
So I would say maybe like 50 to 100 kids stay over the summer. So it was a lot more lenient. We still got trained with the
Were
RAs.
you in classes in the summer?
No, literally just.
All right, so you didn't have, because I know that's like, I've interviewed a Kosoa here. I think somebody else, I can't remember right offhand right now, that somebody else that also did the RA thing, and it's a
Yeah.
lot of pressure to be doing classes and the RA thing. So you didn't really have that going on. So you had the better experience, less students,
Yes. Yeah.
no studies that you had to be doing simultaneously while going around and telling people to clean up their bathroom and put out the candle and all that stuff.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I had the much more lenient experience. Although I wanted that, I was just I think all the slots were already taken. So I think I forgot the actual terminology, but it was like a backup. And so
Yeah.
all the backups would be summer RAs.
That's awesome. All right.
Yeah.
So talk to us. You did sort of a 360 switch, and you're now into sophomore year. You went from hating it to I don't know. You didn't use the word loving it, but you're enjoying it more now. You're
Oh
mixing
yeah,
and getting
I
involved.
would I would say by the end of freshman year, I loved it.
Really?
Loved it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So all right. I'm not putting words in your mouth. Right? So now you went from kind of hating it that first freshman semester to loving it. So what I mean, we're talking about sort of the life and everything. What was going on in the classes? What were you learning? I know we're going to get into a little bit of a conversation about the value of college. So what were you actually getting from it? What were you actually enjoying on the academic side?
Yeah, so I would say my freshman year was kind of just snooping around, kind of trying different classes and different majors. But I knew I wanted to do business. I knew I ended up concentrating in marketing and management. But I kind of wanted to just try things, and the college did really good at that by providing the trimester. So the third term 3 is what it was called. For term 1 and term 2 were 12 weeks. Term 3 was 6 weeks. And during this week, you can do an accelerated program for anything in your major, or you can pick like an extracurricular class. So it was really cool. Like you could have, an accelerated accounting class, and your next class would be bird watching, or fermenting, and kids would make like beer in class, like really cool stuff that that you could apply to life, but it was just like extracurricular stuff.
That's very cool. And I
Yeah.
mean, I would imagine because it is a smaller school, I think it's less than 900 students, right? Lots of
At that
small
point, yeah.
classes, so a lot of one-on-one, or not one-on-one, but very, very like 10-to-1 kind of classes, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What did that feel like coming from Randolph, where you had closer to high 20s
30.
in every class?
Yeah, it was cool. You definitely got that, the attention that you wanted. If you wanted that, you definitely could not miss class. That was for sure. I actually even had an instance where we had to go to a dorm, which I don't know if was against the rules or not, but the whole class went and like woke this kid up, which was really funny. And then we actually went back to the classroom. But it was that tight knit of a community at the school where you could go and do that. Like the class just went to his room, like wake up,
Wow.
came to class. Yeah.
I mean, something that speaks to me on that is that so many of these schools, like if and folks have gone, whenever we talk about this, because I talk about it and I feel a tinge of guilt, because I know there's folks that did go across the street to City College and they graduated.
Yeah.
But I also know the statistics. Be interested to go back and look at the percentage of Randolph students that started at City College or another CUNY institution, and see what the graduation rates. But we know statistics overall. You go across the street to City College, and overall, for anybody that's trying to get a 4 to 6 year, and that includes all the people that are going in there from other schools that are looking for credits towards nursing, credits towards minimum requirements for policing, but there's a 6% graduation rate from City College. What that speaks to me when you say your whole class went to wake somebody up is like, we're all into this together and we're all graduating.
Yep.
The difference is clear. I'm looking at the U.S. News and World Report, 4-year graduate, not a 6-year graduation rate, which a lot of places will go 4 to 6. 4-year graduation rate, 61%, which at less than 1 in 10 statistic wise at City College, going to 6 out of 10 at that includes people that drop out, freshmen, that didn't have that phone call from Thompson and said freshman year, peace, I'm out of here. 6 out of 10 students graduate. That's a big deal. That's a huge deal in terms of like the quality of education and the drive. So it's really cool. So talk to us before we get into this whole conversation about the value. Talk to us about junior and senior year and what you got out of that, what was going on, and as you were marching towards the real world, what was going on in your head.
For sure. So I guess we'll kick back a little bit to freshman year. That was when I started DJing and producing music, and started really
like following you at that time. Like I remember those years. I remember paying attention. Yeah.
And it just really kind of took off. And sophomore year was really the year that really sparked everything. That was the year that I was doing weekend tours. You know, that was the year that music videos were coming out and like the money was coming in, and it was crazy, you know, as a 19 and 20-year-old. And I had this opportunity to go to this music production school in LA. And, you know, I thought to myself, is it worth it? Am I going to do it? Like what's going to happen? And so I ended up doing it. I made the jump and I took a leave of absence. And so I went, and it was really cool. And I learned so much, but it was another really big wake up call where, you know, I was DJing and producing, but I would go into the same room that, you know, there were 17-year-olds and 16-year-olds, and they were creating like musical landscapes. Like it was crazy. It was things that I would never even thought of doing when I was 17. It was just almost like a slap in the face. It was like, whoa, you know, I'm spending so much time over here partying and having fun, and these kids are over here working. Like they're putting in work. By the time they're my age in 2 or 3 years, it can blow me out of the water.
Wow.
So yeah, and it was wild. And so I came back, you know, with the knowledge, and I think I actually ended up, because I couldn't go back to school since I took a leave of absence for the semester. I ended up interning with CCPI again, and I helped out Thompson in the office for a little bit of time.
So what year was that?
I want to say 2016.
Okay.
Yep.
So that was junior year?
Yeah, that was when like Lauren was there and Nico.
Yep, and Nico's in the office. She's emailing me right now to get access to
no
get
way.
emails to people.
Nice.
So
I met her.
Um,
Yeah. So that happened.
So you went to California, went to the school, was doing this, and then so that was like a year off from Elmira.
No, so it was only a few months. Like I went from like June to I want to say maybe October.
Okay.
And then I helped out Thompson from October to January.
So it was just a semester off. Okay.
Yeah. So I come back to Elmira, and a lot of things change. Even, you know, my friend circle, like some people went to be RAs, and others just really got into their programs and started doing internships and stuff. So junior year was a little bit weird. You know, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. But I was still consistent with, you know, performing and traveling and stuff, still consistent with school. I ended up just having one job on campus. I stopped being the tour guide, and the RA thing was only during the summer.
Well,
so
I
I was just
you were a
working.
little bit busy with the touring and the school stuff.
Yeah. It was just wild. It was literally, I cannot joke, like Monday through Friday would be school, on the week Friday fly out.
Right.
Like crazy.
And talk to me about the financial aspect of this. Like, how did you work it out? And I know you're paying back loans, so I'm assuming not every dollar was going into savings and spent the right way.
Yeah.
So I'd love to. We don't have to totally get into that. I want to, you know, maybe save some of that for the end, and we can talk about value and stuff. But you know, I think it's really important for young people. I mean, I talk about that a lot with my kids. That, you know, putting half your paycheck away and saving and investing and all that jazz. But how did you deal with the money aspects in the moment? You know, with the value proposition. Obviously, you know, you're spending money in school, and then like, how are you making a decision? Like, this is how you want to spend your weekend and what the money's supposed to look like and all that jazz.
Yeah. So freshman year, I really did it DIY because I was doing, you know, the rooms and then the campus events and fraternities. I would have to show up with everything because a lot of the schools didn't have the technology. So freshman year, I think I spent about like $6,000, and I got industry standard equipment. I had maybe 5 or 6 speakers. I had the lighting rig, like it was nuts, and I literally would just put it in the van and go. And so very quickly, I made that investment back. Like the 6,000 went and it came right back in. The thing was, again, very immature at this stage. A lot of things are happening really quickly. A lot of opportunities and doors are opening. And it was just a very like, you know, looking back at it, I wish I would have saved. You know, I knew it was the right thing to do, but I was living in the moment, living fast, especially in the music industry. It's like, you just constantly have to move, and a lot of it is, you know, entertaining and partying, and you know, even the tuition at that production school was $24,000. I had, you know, I think that year alone in shows in 2015, I made around like 22,000, and we're talking cash. Like, this was just going to frats, you know, going to campus events and just get paid and then on to the next one.
That's crazy.
It was nuts. It was nuts. And just imagine, you know, not thinking about the future that much and just thinking now, the money, as quick as it came in, it left, you know. And looking back at it now, I wish I would have saved half, at least half.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, that's, I think for anybody that's coming up and anybody, you know, I'm 42. I know you're probably about, what age are you?
25 now.
25. Oh, my goodness. You're such a young guy. But yeah, I mean, if you got that game right now in terms of saving, it's such a huge thing as the years go by. You regret it more and more not putting that money away. So you're learning the lesson way before I did. So it's an amazing thing, because that saving and the financial freedom that it gives you is such a big deal. Talk to us. So Real Word is approaching junior year. You got the mixed sort of experience of going to California, doing the recording school, you're doing the performances, you come back. Junior year isn't everything that you dreamed it was, especially with the friend circles changing. So what's going on as you're approaching junior summer and getting into senior year?
Yeah, so I think I started looking into, you know, where am I going to live after school? You know, am I going to move back home and I'm going to move to my own apartment? Will I have roommates? You know, what was going on? Because my close friends, you know, and some of my best friends till today, everybody lived in different states. You know, one of my friends was in Colorado, another one in New Hampshire, another one, you know, Florida, New Jersey. Everybody was really spread out. And so
are these friends that you made in college or through the music? Okay.
In college, yeah. And so, you know, these are my best friends, and I lived with them all 4 years. And so, but we all knew, like, those friends wanted to stay in their states or pursue their careers. And I knew if I wasn't going to stay in New York, I was going to go to LA. That is, like, it's my dream spot. And so, you know, I was thinking about all these things, but then also thinking, you know, what am I going to do as a day job? Because I'm still going to pursue music, but until it can, you know, fund me in a way where I won't need a day job and I can, like, live and pay rent and eat, then, you know, I'd have to stay realistic. And I always knew, again, I always had the marketing and management background. So I was looking into those jobs. And so senior year, really emotional, I guess, because you start to realize how much time you take for granted, and you know, start missing your friends and start realizing, like, everybody's really going to go their separate ways. So it was really sad. But I don't know. It was cool. And moving back, once I graduated, I moved back home to just save money. And actually, before I did that, I did something that I never thought I would. And I was actually, the summer after graduation, I didn't go back home. I went to a camp for kids with disabilities.
Yeah.
And I was a camp counselor.
How was that experience?
Eye-opening. It was amazing. It's probably one of the best jobs that I've ever had in my life. It really shows you how much you take for granted, even when it comes to eye contact and smiling and being able to speak and being able to use the bathroom on your own and walking. Like, man, it was so eye-opening and really changed my life in 2 months, you know, just seeing and helping out these kids. And it was a really cool experience.
It helps with that attitude of gratitude when you know all the things that you're so thankful for, and learn how much a little care can go. I'm certain that helps you with being on stage and being with the fans and respecting folks. I mean, that's such a big part of being celebrity in any shape, way, or form. Just respecting the folks that, you know, are your patrons, right? The folks that support you and take care of you. So you're looking at senior year. So senior year, you'd go out, you do this job. That's the summer between junior and senior year, or is that after senior year?
That's after senior year, right after.
So now you've already graduated.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Finally did it. And I did it on time. Did it
Yeah,
on
and,
time.
that's pretty, because you were doing things. You were
Yeah.
really busy. So now you got this camp experience. That's coming to end. What was in your mind as the day of like, all right, I got to get a job. What was going through your
Yeah.
head?
So at first I really wanted to be in the industry, and I didn't want to kind of let go of music so fast. And so one of my good friends, um, his uncle is, one of the people who run Chelsea Piers. I think he's one of the owners actually. And he approached me. He's like, "Hey, my uncle is starting, this cycling program. Like stationary bikes. He's like, would you like to, create the playlist for Chelsea Piers?" And I was like, "What? Yeah." And so we're talking Chelsea Piers, New York, Chelsea Piers, Brooklyn, Chelsea Piers, Connecticut. And so after the camp, I kind of did freelancing and just created personalized playlists for all of the cycling classes. Sometimes I would make, special mixes for personal trainers and things like that. And then, I don't know if I could say this, but I was kind of used almost like a spy because they were starting their program, and it was kind of keeping an eye out on like, okay, let's look at Flywheel, let's look at Soul Cycle, let's look at Peloton, let's look at all of our competitors, see what they're doing and how we can make it better. And through this job, I found Peloton, and I remember going the first time, and I was just like, yo, this is really cool. Like they're really doing things differently. And so after the kind of freelancing job ended, I applied for Peloton, and then now we enter my first official job outside of school.
And Peloton's huge, so that was a great
Oh
experience.
yeah,
Great experience to begin your career, and that's amazing.
unbelievable.
So talk to me about, so you did, basically the creating the playlist for the, I'm assuming these were like spin classes kind of thing.
Hmm.
So how did you coming out of college, how did you figure out like what to charge and how to do that business side of it?
Yeah, so I essentially had a rate already for making playlists, but because this was, making playlists live and on the spot and consistently, um, it was almost like a curator role. So we ran with that title, and I remember, me not really knowing much about the world of freelancing and how much to charge, and like I didn't really know at the beginning, when you're freelancing, you need to be freelancing like 3 to 5 jobs so you can actually get paid money. I had no clue. So I was thinking, like a mere like $20 an hour. This is Jeremy, who didn't know about benefits yet and who didn't know about insurance and all this other stuff that comes. And, I get offered, how's 45 an hour? And I was like, oh my God, in my head, obviously I'm going crazy. But I was just like, yeah, I think that could work. I think we can run with that. And so this was just consistently like just like week after week. But again, those are those lessons in life that I wish I would have learned. These checks were freelancing checks, meaning like you weren't taxed on these. That
Yeah.
was up to you. You have to report all of this. You're getting the full payment. You're getting that full X amount of dollars per hour. And it's up to you as a freelancer to, take away the taxes and keep all of these records.
Which of course you did, right? You were smart with the money.
Yeah,
You
of
saved
course.
money for the taxes, made sure you had money to pay the person that was going to have to do those taxes for you,
Exactly.
save
Yeah.
another percentage just to have in case of a rainy day, all the smart
Right.
things, right?
Every single thing you just mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw what kind of car you were driving. I was like, oh, okay, all right. I see this guy. All right.
Yeah. No. So so I quickly, again, just like trial and error, and I'm very thankful. Once we start talking about the music, I'll tell you more. But I'm really thankful, having 10 years in that realm. I love meeting new people who are just starting to create music or wanting to be in the background, whether that's booking shows or promoting or whatever it is. I love kind of taking them under the wing and just showing them, because I hate making those mistakes. And I love the trial by error. I love the way that I got to where I'm at now, but I don't wish it on anyone. Like if you have the way to go and you have the resources, use it. It's so much better than doing it on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. you hope you want people to learn from your mistakes. Certainly for the last 24 years, that's what my involvement with SBI has been all about. Like, listen, you can have all of these opportunities open to you if you don't do these stupid things that I did. All these doors will be wide open to you, and you can choose, as long as you do some of these right things, make sure that you apply yourself and create all of these different opportunities for yourself, whether that's, good grades, applying to a certain number of schools, making sure that, your education is encompassing of, let's say you want to do business later, or you don't know what you want to do. Well, let's make sure you get those communication skills, because no matter what you do, you're going to need to talk to somebody. You need to convince them that you're worth something. Let's make sure you go to some place where you get some of these business skills and can add, some numbers together and run a spreadsheet, because guess what? Whether you're in the finance industry or not, when you go home and you got to work that checkbook out and college loans and dealing with home
heavy
finance.
real quick.
Yeah. Where's these skills? All right. So you're working for Peloton, you're doing the music thing though. This is still, you're still doing the music thing all along. So talk to us about that trajectory here.
Yeah, so it was basically the end of 2017 / the first half of 2018. I was still DJing, still producing music, but I kind of started taking steps back. I started selling equipment because I wasn't around these fraternities anymore. I eventually came on to doing clubs now. And I don't know if you're familiar with the DJ world, but when you go to clubs, you just show up with a laptop and a USB.
You just plug
that
in.
Is it. That's it. So no more of the days of, bringing my speakers, bringing the lights. You just go to the club and that's it. So I started selling a lot of the, equipment that I had. But I would still get shows. I think one of the most recent big DJ shows that I had was opening for this big EDM duo called Lost Kings. And it was good. It was really great turnout, 600 or 700 kids. It was cool. But this was kind of sort of the time where I started realizing, do I want to continue doing this? Is my heart still in it? And I'll tell you, it was really hard to walk away from because, again, the money. But when it comes to, my creativity level and my love for the music, it kind of overpowered any amount of dollar, because at the end of the day, whatever you're chasing, for me, example would be to just financially be stable enough to just make music full time. That's the only thing that mattered. I don't care if it was 20,000 a year or 30,000 a year, as long as, I was happy in the end and it wasn't a job, it was what I do.
Yeah.
That really made everything for me. So so I stopped DJing fully, still do it. Again, I'm still DJing, but not as much as before. And then I transitioned into singing, songwriting, and rapping.
So when did that start? And now, I don't even know what album you're on, right? So talk to us about the discography and all the while you're moving from job to job. You move from Peloton to Bitly. So kind of ramp this all up to present day.
Yeah, for sure. So towards my last I guess a couple months of Peloton, I was just looking for different options. I still love Peloton. My Peloton is right there. Still use it all the time. But I don't know. I kind of wanted something new, and an opportunity opened up at Bitly where one of my friends was working there. It was, same work, just different position, better pay, better everything all around. And so I kind of just jumped ship. And again, I kind of plugged in Evan before I left. So Evan was there, he met all my friends and stuff, and he's doing really great there. Again, I think he's a recruiter now. So I go on to Bitly, and at this point, now we're doing the, community centers that I was telling you about before. Now I'm in the songwriter realm, I'm singing and I'm rapping and I'm making music, and, we're putting together these shows. And it was at the community center. It was, it's called The Point at Hunts Point. And I forgot what it was, but it was really cheap at the time. And I knew the guys from back when I was booking shows with the bands. And it was all DIY. I hired two of my friends who were big to do security. We were selling You know, beers out of a cooler, you know, everything was DIY and people loved it. And it grew from like 60 to 80 to 100 people. And so from there, you know, we stopped doing a community center. There was a venue in Brooklyn called Brooklyn Bazaar. We did that, brought out 147 people. And the reason why I know these numbers is because, again, you know, I knew in the back of my head, because of the DJing days and because of the band days, you need numbers. It doesn't matter what your talent is. It doesn't matter how many fans, follows, likes you have online. What people are going to want to see are hard ticket sales and what your merch sales look like. And so when you want to advance and you want to get those cool placements at these specific venues, the first thing the promoter is going to look at is like, where's your credibility? Where have people written about you on blogs? You know, what are your shows look like? What do the numbers look like? How many people are coming for you? And, you know, I learned really quickly, had to save all that data, So we moved from Brooklyn Bazaar, and then we go to January 30th of 2019 was at Mercury Lounge. And I remember this day because it was a Wednesday and it was during the, I forgot what it was called. It's like the typhoon or, man, it was like a crazy storm in 2019 in January. I forgot the name.
Okay, it's not Sandy. That was a while
No,
ago.
no. Yeah, it was 2012. It was I forgot. It'll come back. But it was like a blizzard happening on a
Okay.
Wednesday in 2019. And we were at Mercury Lounge downtown and we sold 221 tickets out of 250. Very close to selling out. And so at this point, you know, if we're doing this on a Wednesday, I'm thinking to myself, what does a Friday look like? What does a
Right.
Saturday look like? And so with that credibility, we go to Chelsea Music Hall, which is on 15th Street, and everybody knows it. It's a really famous venue. And so at this point, to go back to the jobs, Bitly, I left after a year because I found a new opportunity at Phi. And so now I'm a CX manager there. And for those who don't know, CX is customer experience. So I started as just like the really general level at Peloton, moved up at Bitly, then I got the manager position at Phi. And so there's an LA team, there's a New York team. In total, it's like 10 of us. It's been really cool on that side. On the music side of things, you know, I had a lot planned for this year. I had a festival date locked in for May, canceled. It was actually at the Hudson Yards. So it's funny that you mentioned Pope, which I definitely want to talk to you more about.
Yeah.
But I had that locked in. I had a venue in Brooklyn named Baby's All Right locked in. And then one of my favorite ones, Rough Trade, for August. Which again, these are rooms that are 250 to 300 max cap. And these are rooms that are booked, you know, by Ticketmaster and Live Nation, where all these really big things would catch people's eyes.
That's awesome. And I know I've been following you on Instagram. You're like an Instagram master. I was showing off your Instagram to somebody at the event rental for the BizDev Live I was doing the other day. And
oh, nice. Thank you.
Their marketing guy. And I was like, look, this guy, I know this guy. And he's popping it off on Instagram. You have so many cool skills to share. Do you run your Instagram yourself or do you have help?
Yeah. So it's always been me. Always since day one. I do have a music manager. Her name is Jess, but as far as like all social media goes, I'm in control of all of it.
That's amazing. So talk to us about, you know, sort of the highs of, you know, being through this music experience. I certainly see the posts, you know, the performances, you're doing videos. How is this working out for you and where do you see the future?
Yeah, so that's been great. That's been really good. I've now been, you know, in this genre for almost 2 years now. I have an entire team. I have, you know, a couple photographers. One of my really close friends now, her name is Whethan. She's a photographer. She's also an artist, but you know, I have Controverse, who's my cinematographer. I got Raiden, who does all my graphic design. He's in Italy. Never even met him in real life.
Wow.
So we just talk over email and IG. You know, I have the studio that I work out of. It's Blendworks, who I'm actually going to be working with very soon. But yeah, I have Sardi out of there who mixes and tracks all of my stuff. And he's worked with big artists like, you know, We go from like Dave East to Ray Shremmerd, really big dudes in the industry.
What's his name? I missed the name.
Danny Sardi.
Danny Sardi. Okay.
Yep. And then Dan Millis, who's one of the best mastering engineers in the industry. He masters all my stuff, and he's done like 50 Cent stuff. He's done Joey Badass, like really, really big names. And that's why a lot of my music sounds very like commercial level, ready for the radio, because I knew when I went into this industry, I didn't want to just, make it sound like very amateur. I really wanted to come out swinging, like very professional, very commercial. So yeah, and so I did that, developed a team around me, and then we just constantly move. Like, for example, let me show you really quickly. The way I move is just really strategic, and I always like to think 6 steps ahead. And by 6 steps, I mean 6 months. So if you can't really see, but this is January 2020, and just by the day, March.
Is that all of your to do?
Just a plan. Yeah.
That's your plan.
That's it.
Amazing. No,
Yeah.
and I see you got like the pre-production stuff. You'll post that, things are coming, things are lined up. Is there a music video in particular that you would like me to play now? I know you got the new Star Power on the face of the website. You want me to play that?
Yeah, for sure. You can do that, or you can do the Better For You one. Either or works. Or actually, you can do Pink Stain. I'll see Pink Stain.
Okay.
Yeah, that is probably my biggest song to date. I think we have 180,000 streams on Spotify, 79 countries. That went everywhere.
Pink Stain featuring Nessly.
Yep.
All right, let me see if I can get this going. Is there a YouTube video, or is it just on SoundCloud?
No, it's on YouTube.
All right, let me look it up on.
Yep.
So while I'm searching for this, talk to me about what you got planned as we move past. Have you been obviously been working from home with Phi?
Yeah. I work straight from home. It's been remote since the first week of March. And it's looking like, we're supposed to be with phase 2, but they're really cool. They're very chill, and they have the idea where it's like, if you don't feel comfortable taking the train, coming to work, as long as you're having the same numbers, you can work from home. So I think I'm going to be working here for a minute.
Yeah. How's everybody with you? I know we had COVID here. You guys been all right? Has everything been family safe?
Yeah, thankfully everybody's been safe. I got tested for the antibodies, came back positive. And so thankfully, I've been trying my best to avoid it. I've always wear the mask, and kind of just stood home for a while. It's been getting a little crazier, so now I kind of just want to at least like go on walks and stuff, but I've definitely been trying to stay in.
I'm gonna get into this.
Yeah, for sure.
You'll need to walk me through like how we not get this blocked on YouTube.
I got you.
Demons, they be all around me. 30 million on my mind, they be trying to doubt me. And I've been feeling all, man, these bitches trying to drown me. Pull up in that black Benz, moved up from the pilot. Now I'm steady flying. Took the gang with me to the weekend in Miami. Spent 100 on them drugs, 100 hours drowsy. When I'm in New York, it's money like I'm rowdy.
Well, it got a lot, it depreciate. I got LVs on my keyboard. I got 2 R's on my keychain. Damn, I love them bras from the peach state. Yeah, bitch, let me fuck with some PF chain. Yeah, Jaico in my skinny jeans, let my nuts hang. He tried to hold him, but he dropped it like the crank. Running moving on my way to yellow, the pink steak.
Turn it up, I roll in and run it up. 1500 for a show, so you know we coming up. And every time I'm in the pool, it's 30 fuck it up. Shorty says she like my friend. What do me run down like a nigga, the honor. Taking pictures with
That Dio, whip got butterfly doors. Artisanal, Margiela, I don't run no tongue, Chanel sandal. I don't run no Jordan Concord. Fly private, 20 Louis bags at the Concord.
Demons, they be all around me. 30 million on my mind, they be tryna doubt me. And I've been feeling all that these bitches tryna drown me. Pull up in that black Benz, pull up for the pilot. For the pilot, I was steady flying. Tell me you can't breathe, weekend in Miami. Spent all it on the drugs, and I was trying.
So walk me through the process, you know, that you've gotten to, because I know this is just one of many videos. How are you dealing with all the challenges of maintaining the full-time job and doing the video production, the music elements behind this stuff?
Yeah, for sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, no. So it has been a little hectic just because, you know, I'm thankful enough to work in environments where they're very cool about, you know, being in different industries. So like in the startup world, it's not as like corporate, and it's not, you know, it's not very like dressed up or anything like that. You know, it's really cool. So, you know, a lot of places have actually really enjoyed the music side of things. Like even at Peloton, I was DJing a lot of their company-wide events. And even till this day, they'll reach out and be like, hey, can you come DJ over here?
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been really cool. At Phi, you know, truly wherever I work, I'm very open with, you know, the kind of music that I make and shows and anything like that. I'm just not really like outward like that. So it's more like if you are interested and know, then I'm like, yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, I
yeah.
think anybody that has their like side hustle, and if they're in your face every day, whether it's music or it's shoes or whatever, you don't want to hear it all the time. So you're subtle with it. I appreciate that. I think that's key for folks that, you know, want to just, you know, I think we're in the age where people understand that you can be more than one thing, and you should be more than one thing, especially, you know, if you do have passions and desires and want to move. I know a big thing with my 13-year-old daughter is like, and even just reading recently, Becoming by Michelle Obama, one of the first things that she talks about is like asking a young person what they want to be when they grow up is so limiting, because, you know, like you're basically asking for that answer that you want to hear. Oh, I want to be a doctor. I want to be that kind of thing, right? Whereas, you know, you could be a doctor, you could be, you know, that, you could be a musician, you could be multiple things. So, you know, maybe a more appropriate question, or what are some of the things that you want to do or accomplish later? What are some of the things that you think are cool and you'd like to do, right? And you're certainly doing some, I think, very, very cool things. So congratulations to you. How can somebody, if they want to get in touch with you, they want to reach out with you, they want to work with you, they want to hear more about your experience, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
I would say Instagram for sure. I mean, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, YouTube, all over, but Instagram,
what's the Instagram? How can they reach you on Instagram?
So it's at Haiko_VXO. And yeah, like if there's any questions or you need help, you know, if you're just joining the industry, if you need advice, let me know. I think the one thing that I want people to take away from, you know, not just me, but my personality and like, you know, what I do. The one thing would be, you know, that I always helped out and I always wanted to be a resource. You know, I never want anyone to look back and be like, yo, he never helped me when I asked. I feel like, you know, resources should always be something that are used, and like the information is priceless. You know, you can't put a price on learning or put a cap to yourself, because there's just always things to learn about and always things to do.
I love this with the Heiko. You know, you got the Heiko spelled out with the, what do you call this piece of Instagram? The playlists or
highlights?
Highlights. Okay, so you got Heiko spelled out with the highlights. This is very, very, very cool.
Yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, all of that, all of the media, all the graphic stuff is just from Andre. His like stage name is Raiden, but again, we've never met in real life. It's just always
there's Aries.
Yeah.
Some of the album art that you've had. So how many albums do you have now?
So they're actually singles.
Singles, okay.
There's about 5 of them that I put out last year and this year combined so far. And you know, before the virus hit, I was going to do one a month until we actually launched the project. But I kind of pushed everything back because me personally, you know, I was ready to put out a complete album and, you know, have shows and all this stuff. But I felt selfish in a way because it's just like, I don't know what you're going through and I don't know what your family is going through, especially, you know, like some people don't have jobs. Some people got sick. Some people in your family may have died. So for me to ask you to listen to my music or give me the time of day, I just felt like it was selfish. And I was just like, you know what, like this music will stay. I believe in my music and I believe in what I want to do. So like whether I give that to you now or later, it's going to succeed anyway. So right now I kind of just stepped away from it.
Well, I know there's plenty of people out there that can afford it and want to hear the music. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that. I know there's different people with different struggles, but you got to do you. And I don't think you should be afraid of that. I think there's people that are like, I'm bored and I want something new to listen to too on that side of things. All right. So they can get in touch with you again on Instagram. It's Haiko _VXL.
Yeah.
How else can people reach you?
On Facebook, it's the same thing. It's facebook.com/Haiko VXL, not the underscore. And then Twitter, my handle is Haiko _VXL.
Very cool. All right. So I want, you know, what do you want people to sort of take away from your story? What's kind of the big takeaway that you want people to learn? Oh, and actually, just before we go, I know we've been over an hour, but I've really enjoyed talking to you, and I know that you got a lot going on, and people want to hear about it. I want to go back to that college versus not college thing. Now, it seems to me like you got a lot at college. Obviously, there's a nice little bill attached to that. So we can wrap this all up with the bow and not leave any any stone unturned here. Talk to us about, you know, your opinion on that and, you know, maybe, you know, knowing what you know now, maybe a different approach. It sounds like you've gotten a lot of friends for college. So, you know, has that trade-off been worth it? What would you do differently if you would do something differently?
Yeah, the trade-off has been 100% worth it. I don't think I would have experienced, you know, the touring and the amount of exposure I had to the industry if I actually didn't go upstate. Because when I went upstate, it gave me the platform. You know, it gave me the dorms to DJ and the parties to DJ and the fraternities to be at. So, you know, if I would have stayed in New York, I don't know if it would have turned out that way. I don't even know if I would have went into like DJing and producing, you know? So it kind of all worked out. If the music wasn't in the situation, right, in another reality where I was just going to school, I think the only option that I would have done was go to a SUNY or a CUNY or somewhere that would have covered more of the tuition. Yeah. Because I think the idea of college is amazing. And I think not only the education, it's just the experiences that you have, you know, like real life experience and going to school with people from all over the country, all different backgrounds, all different walks of life. I think that's truly what you really leave with. The education obviously is there, but I think that's the bigger picture. So I think it's worth it. And if you can, go to school for free or as free as possible.
Yeah, I think part of the issue is access, right? Access to education, the trade-off, you know, obviously a family that, you know, is pulling down a couple million, you know, in terms of income, that's, you know, signing up their child for $50,000 a year school. No big deal, right? You know, and they're going to come out with the resources. I know you're saying one of your friends, I'm assuming, was one of the friends from college that had the Chelsea Piers contact, right? Yeah. I mean, I don't know what their personal financial situation was, but I would imagine it was fairly nice. And that, to me, the advantage of going to the type of school that you did too is that, you know, you are diversifying the economic backgrounds of the people that you're going to. And that's exactly the reason to go and participate in a school, because those are some of the contacts that you have that you can call up, you know, for help throughout your career. And you got the 4-year experience where you've lived in campus life and made those connections. I think that's also the challenge. Like, you live in New York City and then you go to school in New York City and you're not living on campus with people and you're not making those connections. And then you may, depending on what your FAFSA says and what kind of financial aid, still have a bill and not have some of those connections. And I think that's where people can feel at times very burned from a college education, because they went to college, they got the piece of paper on the wall, but they didn't get some of these experiences that I think are deeply tied to especially the elite college experience, right? Or the legacy college experience, or the financially well-off college experience, which I think you got to take part of, even though maybe that didn't, talk to your background. I know we didn't get a chance to talk about like parents and the fact that, you did have some I would imagine marketing and business savvy because they got their salon business. So you got a little bit in that, but you got a lot of students that don't even have that background. So going away to college, I know, is something that we always are recommending so that they do get that life experience beyond the city and they get a chance to be away from parents before they have to walk into a real life building and apply for a job with somebody that's sitting across from them that probably doesn't fit their cultural profile, especially if they're looking for that higher end income, which I think, there's plenty of businesses out there that are doing well, but we know what the statistics say. We know what the majority is, and the majority of the businesses and the majority of money out there looks a lot like, I imagine, what Elmira campus looks like, even of the 900 students, talking to, Trevor, when we did his interview, talking about, being on campus, and they were saying, he went to St. Michael's, most diverse class ever. There was 25, students of color, Black students. So most diverse, and there's more students at St. Michael's, I think, than at Elmira. I might be wrong on that, but I think it's a bigger school.
Yeah.
So, that's sort of the environment that people are walking into. So the fact that you got that experience there, I appreciate that. I want to talk one more point, and then I'll let you wrap this up with what you want people's takeaways to be from this whole experience that you've had. But on the financial side, because I know we've hit that, and again on the point of not leaving any stones unturned, what would you recommend to somebody that they're applying to college? On one side of it, what you think they should be doing financially or looking for financially, and then aside from that, a little bit of a different, but we can, while we're talking about the financial picture, for somebody that is, working that job or getting into the entrepreneurial side, what they should be doing as young men and women with their money to make sure their financial outlook is bright.
Yeah. So no, that's really cool. I would say, when looking at colleges and looking at what your interests are and where they lie, look at, what opportunities are at the school, not just the majors and the clubs you can join, but what are their career services department look like? What is in your major if you wanted to do nursing or business? What are the statistics where people going to the college that you want to get the job that they want in their field? What do those interns look like? And does the career services department help you land those interns or those jobs? I think a big part of, going to school is obviously graduating and doing what you want. But if you just go to a school because it's a business school and they teach you business, it's like, I think it's the networking piece again. It's like, what does your network look like? What does the alumni network look like? How can you land this job when someone else who went to arguably, a better school than you and has the same amount of experience? What separates you from them? And a lot of the time you'll find it's the network and it's who they already know in the company, whether it's alumni or not.
I think that's extremely valuable. And what about the financial side of this?
Yeah, the financial side, I would say, I think our parents say it all the time, and people who have been in these situations say it all the time, but save money. I know it's such a funny and hard and complex concept, but it's truly like, even if you saved, a quarter of your paycheck, whether you're working on campus or not, it's going to pay off so much in the long run. And I'll give it to you an example. If you saved up let's say 20% of your paycheck from freshman year to senior year, I bet when you graduated, you would have enough to cover the first 3 months of rent in your own bedroom apartment, like your one bedroom in whatever city you wanted to, and those are things that we long for, because you have all this independence when you go to school. most of the time you move back home and you're like, oh, I hate this. Like, I'm 22 or I'm 23. Like, I don't need to, you're not the boss of me anymore, mom and dad. Like, you want to have your own independence. So a lot of that is with the money that you save, and not even, it could be, not just your independence, maybe investments that you want to make, maybe a small business you want to start. You may or may not have enough credit to get a loan out from a bank or anything like that. So even funding it yourself, or even getting a car, all these things would be so simple if we just saved a tiny amount of money.
That's amazing. Yeah. And let me just add to that, because I think, from my end of it, reading a book like Profit First, taking that, because I think a lot of people don't understand that saving money is not putting money into your checking account that you're thinking that you're not going to spend. Saving money is taking money out of your checking account and putting it in a separate bank that's in a saving account that's harder to get to.
Yeah.
And understanding that money is not money that you touch. It's not money that you touch because Friday night you need a little extra cash to go to the club and you'll pay it back next week. No, it's not money that it's savings. You don't think about it. It's there. And it's capital that you build up so that you can do major investments like house, or just be able to say, this is savings that I have as equity for a loan towards a business or a house or major investment. When, I was listening to Gary V's story that, he had the opportunity because he was working for his mom and dad's business. He had saved up some money and he was in, doing some of this early stuff in the .com thing. And then, Zuckerberg, it's just like crazy, his life. But, this is, 20 years later, what is our stories, who we were, contact. You're in like a lot of startup places. So I know your stories are going to be crazy 20 years from now, what people are into and what things look like. What is Peloton going to look like in 20 years? What is Buy going to look like in 20 years? What is Bitly and the folks that founded Bitly going to look like in 20 years? You're going to know those names. And Gary Vee bought his shares in Facebook from Zuckerberg's parents.
Wow.
So like they were like, oh, we want a little bit of money because we're retiring, and we want to share. I wonder if they're regretting that. You're like, now we're not talking about, this is like 14 years ago. Like, I'm sure, I don't know exactly, I don't know what the situation with Zuckerberg's parents are alive, whatever, but I wonder if somebody's like, man, maybe we should have hung on to that. Because it's the, Gary Vee talks about it, the most money that he ever made. So it's just like having that money there to take advantage of those opportunities that come along the line. If you don't have it, you don't have it. And it's huge, huge, huge. I know that. You've seen that. And I'm sure that, the bills, like as they come due and you're like, man, I had that chunk of change, and what would that look like if I would have invested in Facebook 5 years ago, and things like that. Yeah, Bitcoin. I know we have people that went to Randolph that did. Trevor invested in Bitcoin, and he's told me about like he had it and then he sold it. Like, you sold it, like some of these things that again, investing in the long term, the amazing things that it can do for you, your career, for. If you want to make change in the world, you care about, movements and what you can put together if you have a little bit of capital behind you. All right. So I know I'm talking a lot. Tell me, what do you want people to kind of take away from your story and want to leave people with?
Yeah, I would say, in my field of work, whether that's the music or the CX realm has just started. I've just put in 3 years, and I plan to do, hopefully 10, 15, 20 more years in it, and hopefully, be able to be a CEO of my own company one day. On the music side of things, I put in a decade, 10 years. And although I've seen a lot of success, I still want more. There's so much more to do. And, I think the one thing that I want everyone to take away from this interview is just take your time. Like, I truly believe, your time will come, and everybody's timeline looks different, but we rush so much because we're worried, and, we're looking at different obstacles and comparing ourselves to different people. But everybody has their own storyline and everybody has their own time. And, you know, if you continue to do what you're going to do, no matter it takes 5 months, 5 years, 15 years, like you'll get there eventually. But I think everybody should, you know, just trust the process. I know a lot of people say that, but like truly put in the work. A lot of people want to get famous, but don't want to put in the work. And you really got to do it, because I truly believe I'll look back when I reach that level that I want to be. I'll look back and be like, yo, those days were better because I worked so hard for it. And now I'm at this position where everything is just accessible. So yeah, sorry, that was really long-winded. But,
no, you like the process. I get it. You know, I was letting you go. You were flowing, so I appreciate it. I'm gonna play this this Star Power video, and then again, you'll have to stay with me so we can make sure this video stays up on YouTube.
Yeah.
But talk to me about what the future for Heiko Music is, and you know, I know you got your plans. When do you think an album might eventually drop, and how can people get a hold of an album?
Yeah, so it's a really good question. I think, you know, I'm going to continue throughout this summer and the fall. I think I'm going to continue to drop singles and music videos here and there. You know, an album is definitely on the way. I've only put out one EP in it, and I had a lot of really good feedback and criticism. And I would say before the year ends, you know, October or November for sure. With the music, the plans on that, you know, 2020 kind of took a dive because of, you know, live entertainment, but 2021 is going to look insane. You know, I'm going to have a lot of shows in New York. We're going to do a tour, you know, and hopefully
there's going to be a lot of pent-up demand for sure.
Yes. Yeah. And I think my goal for 2021 is to lock in a touring deal, not necessarily a record deal or anything like that, but somewhere that I can get, you know, in front of a lot of people really quickly.
I'm looking forward to seeing you live. I've never gotten to see you live, and I'm really looking forward to it.
You got to come out.
All right, here we go. I'm going to play this. Just hang with me. I'll let this play out, and then we'll put up the banner at the end, and stay with me, all right?
Let's do it.
Salt Lake City, said she fucked with me. Backstage on my show, pour it up if you and me. Got me a little pretty, only 5'3". Told her bust it open, make it clap for the key. And they say I'm overseas, woke up on my knees. Said she got a cousin on the way from the keys. I feel like the movies, see me make a scene. Said I'm your favorite rapper at the first CD. But it's temporary, these niggas come and go. Today you the shit, tomorrow you get old. Always want the most from you, never give it back. When you come into my city, and my DM call me back, yeah. It was a dream, still in New York, still with the team, still a loser. Told myself that I'm making a million. From the chest, my whole life I was giving a shit. But then I came up and I like how I sound. Said my voice too harsh and the vocals too loud. But niggas is wrong, yeah. Now I got on, yeah. I work too hard, yeah. Everybody said no. And now I'm a star, yeah. Now I'm a star, yeah. Now I'm a star, yeah. I work too hard. Everybody said no. I'm a star. Look at the charts. I did it all. PWR. Everything that I got. Everything that I bought. I did it all. PWR. 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 Now I'm a star. Look at the charts. did it all. BWI, take it this way. I don't look at the price. Look at your rank. Every show I be making it twice. I don't play nice. I'm a villain tonight. I hop in a V. For the weekend, I'm taking a flight. You either with me now, or you against me. Every time that I fill a glass, another one empty. These bitches, they come and go. This money, it come and go. Look at the powder, pussy pressure. I need it more, please, time 3. Baby, come get it with me. Now I'm a star. Look at the choice. I did it all. BWI. Everything that I got. Everything that I bought. I did it all. BWI. 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 Now I'm a star. Look at the charts. I did it all. BWI.
There it is. Oh, I can't hear you.
Muted it. Muted to get rid of the echo. I forgot about it. Hey, thanks for so much for being on here, man. I really appreciate it. I can't tell you how much I appreciated talking to you. Looking forward to seeing all the big things from you and your career as we move forward here.
For sure. Thank you so much, Cameron. Seriously, I appreciate it. And let me know. You got to come out to the show.
Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely there. I wanted to for a long time. I'm getting to be an old man now, so there's always that concern that I'm going to be that one white old dude in the crowd, but I'll make it. No worries. All right. Take it easy. Everyone, if you're watching, still with us, watching this now, watching this later, listen, hit that subscribe button. Follow Jeremy at all the places you can, Instagram, YouTube, HaikoMusic.com. Get it. I'll see you soon.
All right, man. I'll see you. Thanks, guys.